Hello everybody, this is Gwyneth and welcome to my channel. This forecast runs from the 22nd to the 30th of April. Now that I've got those details out of the way, I can actually talk to you about what's really going on. So much that I've consolidated information so that we can get right to the point. And right now, what I'm going to do is talk to you about the overview for the week, and then you can go further along in this video and look at the timestamps for your sun, moon, or rising, which I would recommend if you know your rising sign, take a look at that because it's going to be very helpful for you. Okay, let's jump right in here. So, what's going on? What are the big three? Okay. Listen, I could go on for hours about all of the nuances that are happening this coming week. But things have shifted. So let me say that the fact that the sun has moved into Taurus lightens up the energy. It brings a solidifying stability, earthy, focused on, plants and flowers and the homey things that you might be engaging in. The sun in Taurus, it gives a grounding sense. I hope I'm making that all clear here. A grounding energy amidst the 7 planets that we've been experiencing in the sign of Aries. Aries is a hothead, highly energetic, is used to taking command. Actually, the Arian energy is do it and do it now. It doesn't matter that half of my listeners out there are probably Aries, because this is not a put down. This is an energetic description of what the Aries energy can act like on various levels. And it's, the ruler of Aries is Mars. So you have this highly commanding sense in the workplace, in your home life. That's what we've been living with. On the political stage, maybe with your friends and neighbors. Maybe you've seen it played out in some sports arena that you're involved in. Okay, so I'm not going to belabor that point, but I can tell you right now, it's bringing a softening. And as I said the last time I did this reading, it's starting to pull the Aries energy out of the overall theater of astrology right now. So we're starting to make a shift. Okay, now let's talk about the 3 biggies. Now this forecast goes from the 22nd to the 30th. But I have to talk about the fact that on the 20th, we had Mercury make a unification with Saturn in Aries, both of them in Aries. So it's a conjunction. The last time, and I looked this up under, in some of my own notes, last time we had a conjunction like this with Saturn and Mercury was in May of 1998. And as I look back to 1998, I think of the very concerning serious issues that I was facing, primarily in the family arena. So you can go back in time and look to see if any of this resonates. When you have this Mercury and Saturn conjunction, you're generally talking about serious conversations, right? But when it's in Aries, these are knockdown, drag out discussions that can go on for days. One or the other might be stubborn about something. There may be some drama or histrionics connected to it. So that's one of the transits that could be affecting a lot of people over the next few days. On Wednesday, the 22nd, the moon is in Cancer. And I like this day because I think it's really comforting when the moon is at 12 degrees of Cancer and Jupiter is conjunct at 12 degrees of Cancer. The moon and its emotions take flight, and it's positive, it's warm, it's cozy. There's a sense of compatibility with friends or people that you care about. So it's great. We need some touchstones here, folks. We need moments of quietude. Actually, I'm not sure quietude is a word, but anyhow, I digress. So on Thursday, we also have another one of these interesting conjunctions when Venus in Taurus conjuncts inventive Uranus in Taurus. So you might find that you are moving furniture around. You're being creative and you're finding inventive uses for objects. Maybe you're gardening and you've just discovered that you have an avocado tree growing in somewhere around or into your swimming pool. You will find creative ways of handling some very interesting situations. Then we have Venus going into Gemini on Friday the 24th. Venus is an energy of love, art, creativity, but it's going into inventive, friendly Gemini. And Gemini likes to explore, it likes to invent. It's quick. So the next big transit that has to be talked about and put right on the table is Uranus moving into Gemini. Uranus is inventive to start with. Gemini is its partner. Not literally, but Gemini is that nosy neighbor. Gemini is your creative child that can't stop asking why. Gemini tries to do two things at once. Gemini is a very mercurial, I would almost go as far as saying, an ADHD sign. It's always doing more than one thing and it can't stay focused for more than 5 seconds. Now, this is not to denigrate Geminis out there. Geminis are cool. And I'm just using it as a symbolic interpretation. But when Uranus goes into Gemini, we're focusing on technology. We're focusing on fast ideas. And then on top of that energy, almost the same day, maybe not as the same hour, while we're busy being tech savvy and speaking quickly about things and maybe following a map for directions, the sun, which is in Taurus, as I mentioned, squares off to Pluto in Aquarius. So there's a little push and pull, maybe a little friction within the home. Wherever these planets fall for you, there can be a little bit of maybe more than a little, of disturbance of the force. So while you might be paying attention to something you're working on, you've got family members who are saying, come on, I thought we were going to have pizza. Or maybe a comment like, you never listened to me. So keep that in mind. That's a biggie. And then on Sunday the 26th, we have a little bit more friction. While Mercury in Aries, which is very high energy, squares off to Jupiter in Cancer. Jupiter in Cancer wants to have flowing moments, enjoy the downtime. Mercury in Aries wants to get going, is bored. So you put these two things together, and again, it's a little bit more about the friction between individuals, possibly. So that date, those dates, the 25th and the 26th, can be a little bit of a, nails across the chalkboard kind of energy weekend. The last big thing that is going to impact you, no matter what, no matter who you are, I want to talk about this. This is where hopefully, as we go forward, I have diagrams that I can hold up. But the best way to interpret this is to think in terms of this kind. I'm going to hold a picture up. I'm going to pull off a piece of paper here and show you something. So if I show you this, this looks like a kite with a tail. You have the top, and then you have the bottom, and then you have the two arms of the kite. With a kite formation in astrology, we have one of the most dynamic, I would even say powerful, energies flowing to make something new happen. So on Wednesday the 29th, we have a grand trine to start with. And the grand trine is between the moon in Libra, Venus in Gemini, another air sign, and then I just lost my train of thought. Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto in Aquarius, Venus in Gemini, and the moon in Libra, all air signs. So think of that as part of the kite. And then what we have is an opposition. And we have the opposition between Neptune in Aries and that Libra, moon in Libra. Well, what's going on here is that the opposition creates the energy. I mean, we find in people's charts where there are oppositions, we always think opposition is a bad thing, but an opposition in astrology can mean that there's a natural, especially in a chart, a built-in motivational factor. You grow up, for instance, you grow up having a handicap. It could be that you're dyslexic, or you are any number of things like that, but you learn to overcome it by using other methods. Maybe you grew up in a very poor family. Maybe you were orphaned. Who knows? But you learn to, it's built into the chart, and you learn to overcome a lot of things. That's coming up for all of us on Wednesday the 29th. And the opposition working with the grand trine of the three air signs is going to force a shift in our understanding of some subject matters. It could be political. It could be something related to science. It could be a situation where we've discovered another planet. I don't think that's going to happen exactly, but it could be something like that because it's very, very intellectual. How does this impact you? Well, we look at the charts individually. I will be touching on that as I do each of the signs. But I'm not going to belabor this point, but I'm telling you that the 29th and into the 30th, this grand trine will bring information to light, a reversal in opinions. If something has not been working well in our society, there will be a very powerful movement to shake up the status quo. I'm seeing that. If this is happening in your family life, there's been a subtle undercurrent, somebody will speak up because there is a built-in mechanism to fly that kite, to get things moving. The wind will pick it up. Remember, these are three, it doesn't always have to be this way, but 3 air signs. Air signs in general are very intellectual, very much caught up in the mental realm. And the ideas that they or them are postulating will be picked up and pulled along into our culture, or into your family culture, or into your church culture, or even into your friendship culture, because it's not just on one level. So that's the news for this week. I can't wait to see how it plays out. Please, folks, if you like what I'm doing, please like, share, and subscribe. I think I'm going to get a t-shirt made that says like, share, and subscribe. I'm laughing because sometimes I'm thinking, how can I keep saying this to people without them feeling like I'm driving them crazy? But the more you subscribe, the more it builds this channel. And the more we build this channel, the more we can build this community. And there's so much connected to that. It's a loaded statement. Okay. I'm going to start looking at the various signs. And remember, moon, sun, or rising. And if you're a cross watcher, because I'm time stamping everything now, you can jump around and look at all the other signs and you don't have to wait. I want you, if you don't move forward and look at the other signs, and you just wanted to listen to the forecast review, that's fine too. If that's the case, stay in touch, drop me a line, and have a wonderful, wonderful week. And I'll be back after the 30th. Take care. Aries, how are you? This is for you. I'm going to focus now on the fire signs. I want to use, I'm from Pennsylvania originally, so I want to call you use guys, because we call everybody use guys. It's one of the slang terms out there. So if you're from the Pennsylvania region, you know what I'm talking about, especially near Philadelphia. So, Aries, what's going on with you? Well, I can tell you right now, everything is about you. I've been saying it for the last couple weeks. We right now have 5 planets in Aries, so you're still feeling like, you're on center, at the center of the stage, so to speak. On the Monday the 20th, we had, and it's already passed, but it's still resonating, Mercury in Aries conjuncted Saturn in Aries. Last time that occurred was in 1998. I mentioned that before, so you can go back and look at your historical records. What was happening for you then? What did you feel? On the upside of everything, we have the moon on Wednesday the 22nd in the sign of Cancer, conjuncting Jupiter at 12 degrees Cancer. And for you, Aries, this is in the area of your home and family. Not a bad placement. You might feel like there's an opportunity to have a meeting of the minds as it relates to your family members, or to get together, or to do something wonderful for the home. So that's a great time for you. It's not always perfect, but in this case, at least the energies are lending some support. On Friday the 24th, I'm jumping a little forward here for you because I really want to put the focus on the things that matter the most. Aries, your fellow fire sign will be lighting up your world. And that's the fact that the moon is in Leo and will stay there for a few days, and it's in the area of love and romance for you. So that excites me. I think it's a nice opportunity, particularly on Friday and Saturday, to get out there and have some fun, maybe to, take your children on a field trip, or your partner on a romantic date night if you have one. So it's not a bad thing at all. As I mentioned in my forecast review, there are some really powerful transits this week. And one of them is this fact that Uranus is moving into Gemini. And Aries is comfortable in the sign of Gemini. It's just the fact that air signs and fire signs get along, and energetically they do. And that falls in the area of your idea house, the third house. And Uranus moving into Gemini is going to light up that sphere for you. So are you a writer? Are you into tech? Because it's definitely going to fast track that for you. On another aspect of this, which is a little less elevating, Taurus, the sun in Taurus will square Pluto in Aquarius. And for you, that will be your second house of money and your 11th house of organizations, dreams, and wishes. So it could be a combination of factors. You want to spend some money on something that matters to you, but it's maybe way beyond your means to do it right now. Or maybe there's an organizational demand, and they've decided to cut back on raises, bonuses, etc. It has something to do with your financial situation. On Sunday, Mercury in Aries will square Jupiter in Cancer. So your needs, your personal identity, your desire will clash with what the family wants you to do. You may want to go on a walkabout. You may want to hibernate, and your family wants you to come over for dinner, something like that. There's the push-pull over those 2 days on the 25th and 26th for almost everybody. And it affects everyone in different ways. It just does. On Monday the 27th, Uranus, which Aries loves, will move into the sign of Gemini. And that's just great for, well, I already mentioned that was occurring, but it's really starting to lock in during that time. Then the biggie, the big grand trine, the kite formation that we're looking at will be taking place in a very distinct way for you. So, where is the opposition occurring? It's between, for you, your first house and your seventh house. Your identity and the area of your long-term partnerships, relationships, marriage or otherwise. And then the grand trine that takes place is between the seventh house, long-term relationships, your ability to communicate, and your 11th house of dreams and wishes, long-term and big organizations, people that have deep pockets. Those three areas, your 11th, the 3rd, and your 7th, are all working together in partnership. But where the push-pull occurs is the Aries energy, which is in Neptune, and then your partnership house. So whatever is going on in that area is going to be forcing a shift that demands that you either mature really quickly or you grow into being a new, stronger, better version of you in some way. It may be that you're changing in your long-term relationship. Maybe that you are no longer the same person you used to be. Maybe you're in a partnership that doesn't work for you, or maybe you want to make it something even bigger and better. I can't tell by this because everybody's individual. But on Wednesday the 29th, there is a huge shift occurring, and it's going to be reverberating for some time to come. Okay, Aries, that's the week. It's no easy peasy situation. There's a lot happening, but there are moments where you have downtime, and it's good to relax and to really review what your greatest hopes and wishes are for the next coming months, because a lot of things are hinging on what's occurring over these next few weeks, particularly with all the momentum that's occurring as these planets move out of Aries and into other signs. So on that note, I am going to pull a couple cards for you, and we're going to look and see what else is going on. Okay, Aries, let's see what's happening here. Clear and shield your energy. I just told you there's a very strong change in the wind. There's a lot happening as far as the transits, and you have to find moments where you take care of your energy and protect those around you too that you care about. So that's something to keep in mind. Clear and shield your energy. I'm just going to pull a few cards. Do you ever want something more lengthy and you want a more apt description of what's happening with your chart? You can always contact me at cottagetarot.com. Okay. Let's see what's happening here. You have the gusto to do what you need to do. You're feeling energized. Who wouldn't, with all of the planets running through your particular sun sign, rising sign, or moon sign? But this is the Knight of Swords. You're trying to find a balance. You may be having some legal issues, but you're standing up to it. The Justice card. The Knight of Wands is a Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius energy, but it can be a little bit deceptive because it's like either somebody from the past is coming in and trying to get involved with you again, or old traits and habits are coming back to sort of bite you a little bit. Pay attention to the now and do not go off on flights of fancy, because it's very important to be strategic as this card is showing, Three of Pentacles. Three of Pentacles is about learning something new, analyzing things completely, and being focused on the work you are doing. So Aries, this is your week ahead. Take care and let me know how you're doing. If you feel up to it, or you just simply want to keep watching, and that's fabulous too. But please like, share, and subscribe. Take care. Hello, Leo. How are you? I hope well. So let me jump right in here and start talking to you about what's going on. Okay. So on Monday the 20th, we had Mercury in Aries conjuncting Saturn in Aries. It's serious. It's an intellectual discussion, an intellectual issue. It could be everything from relationships to how we spend our money, that occurred in 1998 in a big way. If you had been around and you were mature enough for it to affect you then, go back in time and take a look at that, because it plays out again. And I'm only mentioning it because it's outside the realm of our forecast, but it is big enough for it to resonate throughout the entire week. So I didn't want to exclude it. On the 22nd, we have a very, very comfortable moon in Cancer that is linking arms and dancing gaily with Jupiter in Cancer, both at the same degree of 12. Okay, so where is that hitting you? Where Cancer is for you, which is in your 12th house of secret desires, hidden enemies, things that make you uncomfortable, your spiritual leanings, your journey through life and what you'd like to accomplish. But it's making you very happy. There's a sense of well-being and order that's occurring right now, which is not necessarily something the 12th house is known for, but it's deliciously comfortable for you. Now, I want to jump into the meat of that this week, but I would be remiss unless I mention the fact also that while the moon is still in Cancer on Thursday 23rd, Venus in Taurus will conjunct Uranus in Taurus. And it is a very comfortable day for you Leos, and it falls in the area of your career. So you can't bypass this. If you're planning to send out resumes or you are interested in changing jobs, this might light up your world. Now, another very big transit, and it happens during a lunar cycle in Leo, and there's a little bit of irritability over these 2 days. Uranus in Gemini puts the emphasis on fast ideas. Taurus in your 10th house, the sun will be in Taurus in your 10th, will square off to Pluto. And Pluto is in your 7th house of long-term relationships. So you may find that there's a disagreement between what's happening in your relationship world and what your career is demanding of you. So that's one thing. On Sunday the 26th, we have Mercury in Aries, which is in your 9th house of, let's explore and have fun and travel, and think about places we could travel, squaring off to homey, laugh a lot, make big pots of soup, spend time with the family, Jupiter in Cancer. And what you may find is that your deepest desires in that 12th house are flying in the face of this desire, whether it's yours or somebody else's, to go explore the world. So that's another push-pull aspect over that weekend, the 25th and 26th, and it'll play out differently in different people's charts. You know, there's no one way that this can manifest. Then on Tuesday the 28th, we get a little bit of a reprieve from some of the cantankerous energy of the weekend, when Venus in Gemini, which is your 11th house of hopes and wishes, makes a very comfortable trine to Aquarius in your long-term partnership area, 7th house. So it may be that your partner, business or otherwise, could be romantic, is sharing some of the same desires. It could also be a situation where you meet this very close connection, a very supportive individual who turns out to will become a very important partner for you. But I think it's more likely a situation where you have an agreement between a partner, existing partner, and something that you hope to both accomplish. The last thing I want to talk about, which is huge, is this grand trine that occurs, and it occurs with an opposition in tow, and it's called a kite. And a kite formation is dynamic. The opposition forces something to manifest. It forces something to come out. It's built into the design of the situation. And for you, Leo, you have the grand trine of Venus in Gemini, Pluto and Uranus, they're all air signs, and the moon in Libra. And these three cornerstones support the opposition. God, I hope this makes sense to you, because it's almost like an archer and a bow. You have the bow, the three corners of a bow, if you can envision that, and you pull back and it forces the topic. So the topic that's being forced is this push-pull between expressing your special, very, very unique ideas in an exploratory way. You may be profoundly affected by something that's happening internationally, or you might be profoundly impressed with something you've seen while traveling. But whatever it is, you no longer can sit on it and you have to share it, whether it's through the spoken word or through writing. That is your kite formation over the next few weeks, because it's going to resonate. It's not just going to sit on one day, Wednesday the 29th. But this is big. This is beyond big. You may have tried to keep this under wraps. You cannot any longer. You need to share it. And that's what will occur. Okay, that's the story. I'm not going to go any further with it. I don't think we could handle much more. I'm going to pull out the oracle cards and see how this works for you. And we are going to take a look at what's happening for Leo. Leo, Leo, Leo. In this scenario, right now, the energy around you is that of a teacher. Okay, and let's look at the accompanying tarot cards. I'm going to take a sip of my Fentimans Rose Lemonade. I love this company. And no, I'm not plugging it. I just love the flavors that they create. Where you become very instructive is in the area of your career. Someone has their laser beam on you. They're interested in you. You are totally oblivious. You're too anxious to be noticing anything. But you have someone's coming in with a message for you that's fabulous. Someone cares about you and wants you to have the information. And one last card. Whatever you've been working on recently is going to pan out. This is the victory card. 6 of Wands. Okay, Leo, until next time, take care and don't forget, like, share, and subscribe. Bye. Hello, Sagittarius. How are you? I hope your week has been good. There's a lot happening here right now. So let's jump in. We will backtrack just a bit. I know this is a forecast from the 22nd to the 30th, but I wanted to scoop up an active transit that will keep reverberating, so it needed to be mentioned on Monday the 20th, when Mercury in Aries conjuncts, which means it's a positive connection, to Saturn in Aries. This happened in the exact same sign, May 1998. If you can look back and remember what was happening then, there's a similar trend, pattern, whatever you want to call it. I know in my case, it had to do with working out issues in a relationship, but for everybody it can be different. Sag, for you, it's more than likely in the area of something that relates to your romantic life or your creative life. So just keep that in mind. On Wednesday the 22nd, while the moon is in Cancer, we have a conjunction between the moon and Jupiter at 12 degrees. So for you, that is in the area of your 8th house. It's all about a reset of some sort, or a transitional period where you feel like life is changing all around you. But in this case, because these two are partnered up, both the moon and Jupiter are in Cancer, and it's dynamic, it won't necessarily feel horrible. It could be a situation like, and I'm going to be glib here, you could be getting rid of an old couch to get a new one. It doesn't have to be death-defying. It can be comfortable. Then what we have going on, which is the biggie transit for Saturday the 25th and Sunday the 26th, is a little bit of irritability, and I want to talk about it in detail here. So what we have going on is that Taurus, the sun is now in Taurus, squares Pluto in Aquarius. Now, for you, Sag, Taurus is in that area of work and health. Yippee. You know, how you work, when you work, and how you take care of your body. It squares Pluto in Aquarius, in your 3rd house of expression. So you may feel like someone is trying to tell you to lose weight, and you're telling them, I diet my brains out and I'm not losing weight. You may have an argument with a trainer, a medical doctor, an advisor, somebody who's doing physical therapy with you. You might even have a dispute with somebody you work with, or a supervisor within the workplace, or you may have a dispute with your desk because it's supposed to be a standing desk and you can't get it to stand, which means you can't get it to raise or lower. So keep that in mind. Then on Sunday the 26th, what you have going on is Mercury in Aries, which is your 5th house of love and romance, is having a dispute with your idea world, your communication. So you may be finding, again, that there is a dispute between the people you love, or you're trying to love, or a conflict with your creative life. And your ideas of how it should pan out. It could even be a dispute with one of your siblings as well. So you're trying to be creative and set up something, and you're having a hard time getting your ideas across. So that's another really big weekend. This is the 25th and 26th, and there are several different factors occurring. And then lastly, on the 29th, which flows into the 30th, and which will probably flow into the following week, so the vibrations from it will last, is you have a kite formation occurring it's happening in everybody's chart, but it's one of the most dynamic transits that can occur, and it forces change, no matter how you slice it or dice it. In your case, and I've diagrammed it here for myself, so I'm looking at your chart. You have Venus in Gemini, which is an air sign. Moon is in Libra, air sign. Pluto is in Aquarius, air sign. And these 3 legs of the stool support this shift that's going to be taking place. And it will take place between your 5th house of love, romance, children, and creativity, and the 11th house, which is people that support you, your dreams and wishes, or large organization. Something is going to be occurring where your desire to express yourself in a creative way, or spend time with a loved one or loved ones, will be hindered or refuted by a large group you're involved in, or by a desire on your part to escape it all. But whatever occurs over that period of time, which is Wednesday 29th and forward, you will be caught between a rock and a hard place no matter what. This has to play out like this. In some ways, it's about getting an issue off your plate. You're tired of having this compromising situation occur in your life. Whether it's, again, I'm going to repeat myself, but this is the only way I can get this across. Whether it's in your love life, or something to do with your children, or your creative life, and you feel compressed by occurrences that are happening outside of that circle. So it could be a situation where the head of a corporation wants you to travel abroad, and your children are like, well, can we come too? Or your love partner is saying to you, how long will you be gone? But whatever it is, there's a push-pull between these factors that had to come out. This was where you were moving toward this inevitable situation, and it's now being put out in the world. So keep that in mind. This is the situation. This is where you're going. I would love to explore it with you. If you have questions about your chart, give me drop me a note. I was going to say, give me a jingle. And remember that things do change and shift, but this kite formation is extremely dynamic. There's no way to get around it. Whatever is happening between your 11th house and 5th house has to come out into the light of day. Okay, let's take a look at your cards and see if they explore this a little bit more. And this is for Sag. Health and healing. So this will be important for you over the next week. Spend some time relaxing, exercising, doing what makes you feel healthy. Sag. Queen of Swords. This is about, non-gender specific, is about putting your energy into the world in a very dynamic way, expressing yourself as a leader. There's a rebirth to an ability or a talent that you've been tamping down. This is Sagittarius, Leo, or Aries. You as a leader, you in charge of something. You are seen as a powerful energy yourself, but this may be somebody who is a boss or a corporate manager or something like that, who is working with you to push you ahead. I'm going to put one more card. Whatever this is will make you and your partner happy. There's an opportunity for you to celebrate. 4 of Wands. So, Sag, until next time, take care and be well. Gemini, welcome. I hope you've had a great week. Let's dive right in. So, on Monday the 20th, although this forecast goes from the 22nd to the 30th, Mercury in Aries conjunct Saturn in Aries. It's very, very powerful. It last occurred May of 1998. And for you, it is in the area of your 11th house, organizations, large groups, and people who have deep pockets may be taking a look at the work you're doing, and that could be really, really positive. On Wednesday, the 22nd, the moon conjuncts Jupiter in Cancer. And for you, dear Gemini, it's in the area of your finances. There could be an opportunity for a raise, a bonus, some type of lovely, expansive news could come your way. On Thursday, the 23rd, Venus in Taurus, which is your 12th house, will link arms with Uranus in Taurus. And the emphasis will be on your 12th house, your dreams, your wishes, your desires, your deep-seated concerns all get pushed together, but because it's involved with Uranus and Taurus, you will come up with some creative ways to deal with some of your worries and some of the things that you haven't expressed, possibly to a partner or to a friend. On Saturday the 25th, the energy becomes a little bit erratic because we have Taurus, the sun in Taurus squaring Pluto in Aquarius. It's just a little bit irritating. And for you, it's the 12th house where the sun sits right now, squaring Pluto in Aquarius, which is up in your 9th house. So to sum it up, the 9th house is all about tripping the light fantastic and going on a walkabout, maybe going on a trip somewhere. But your 12th house has you on a path. You feel like you have to complete it or do something. And you know what? You're not in the mood. Either you don't want to go exploring, or you do want to explore, but nothing's jiving. So, between your 9th house and your 12th house, it may be that your philosophical perspective does not match up with this idea of just going off on a flight of fancy. But whatever it is, you'll work it out somehow and make some sense of it. On Sunday the 26th, Mercury in Aries, which is in your 11th house, will square off to Jupiter in Cancer, and that's your 2nd house. So, an idea that you've had or a desire or a dream doesn't match with your pocketbook. You may sense that you're overspending, even though this is something you may have desired to do. We will get through the weekend and things will become a little bit more calm. But then on Wednesday the 29th, we have a grand trine situation, which is connected to a kite formation, which is the most dynamic of transits. With a kite formation, a situation is supported in changing. It comes out. It can no longer be kept under wraps. So for Geminis, it is the push-pull energy supported by three planets in air signs: Pluto at Aquarius, Venus in Gemini, and the moon in Libra, all air. Kind of creates a support circle around the Neptune in Aries opposing the moon in Libra. Now, the moon in Libra lands in your 5th house of love, romantic interludes, and creative times. Will be opposing your 11th house, which could be an organization demanding something of you. Could be somebody with big ideas for what you should be accomplishing, and your partner, your romantic partner, wants to slip away and have dinner with you. And it could be a push-pull between those two areas of your life. And it's going to come out, and the issues are going to be put out for full display and discussed and worked with, because a balance is necessary for you in this circumstance, however it is designed to look. The push-pull could be about children in your life who want more attention than they're getting, and the company you work for is keeping you away from home a lot. It could be your creative life is not getting the support it needs because the work you do, it demands 60 hours a week of your energy. Whatever it is, it's going to be communicated and brought to the surface, no matter what you try to do to hold it down. And that's the week. That's what's coming up. And this could play out on many different levels. If you listen to my forecast preview, you'll get a sense of what I'm talking about. Okay, so Gemini, let's look at your oracle card and see how this is playing out. Gemini. Twin flame. So no matter what, this reading has some importance as it relates to your partner that you see as somebody so deeply connected to you. They're almost, you know, a shadow or a replica of who you feel like you are on the inside. This is exciting. Twin flame is a beautiful thing. Gemini. Nonetheless, you have to be a leader and take charge of things right now. Queen of Wands. Whoops. And that may be difficult at times for your partner, if you have one, to understand. You're doing a balancing act between your work and possibly your partnership. Two of Pentacles. You have all the skills and abilities to do this. You just have to express yourself more completely with your partner. That's the Magician. And there, you'll do this. Six of Wands. It's victory. You'll come out all right. The two of you will work out your differences. There's an opportunity for you to learn through this process. Okay. Gemini, I want you to have a wonderful week and take care. Libra, how are you? I hope things are good. Let's jump right in here. Okay, so on Monday the 20th, I go backwards a little bit because this particular transit will reverberate for some time to come. Mercury is in Aries, of course, and it's conjuncting Saturn in Aries. And for you, it's in that part of your chart that has everything and anything to do with long-term, close partnerships, business, romantic, whatever. And because it's Saturn conjuncting Mercury, you have to have that difficult discussion, whatever it is, and share what you're feeling, but on a very practical level. So that's happening. On Wednesday, the 22nd, the moon conjuncts Jupiter. And by that, they come together in your 10th house of your great and glorious career. Something may be working out for you finally. You feel like you are coming into your own. On Friday, the 24th, Venus moves into Gemini. That's fabulous. And that's in your 9th house of traveling, exploring, getting away for weekends, whatever. That's going to be a good pattern. It's going to be a great opportunity over the next few months to have that happen. But then on Saturday, the 25th and 26th, we have some transits that create a little bit of friction. So let's talk. So on Saturday, we have the sun, which is in Taurus, which is in your 8th house of transition to start with, squaring off to Pluto in Aquarius. Now, that's your 5th house. So there may be a change occurring in your romantic world. Maybe the person you've been dating has decided to move on, or you are not sure if that person truly cares about you. Or if you're a creative, you're not sure if the project you're working on is truly something you want to back. Something like that. So that's the starter of the weekend. Then on Sunday, we have Mercury in Aries, in that 7th house of long-term relationships, squaring big, beautiful, loud, boisterous Jupiter in Cancer. And that's up in your 10th house. So what you might be finding yourself going through is this push-pull between your relationships, your big relationship, the big R, and the work you're trying to do in creating a really great career. So that's coming out over the weekend. So if that wasn't enough, on Wednesday the 29th, we have a major transit that really demands our attention. It's one of the most dynamic transits that can occur. And it's called a kite. You heard me right. It's just like the kite that we fly in the sky. And in fact, it looks like a kite. And I want you to imagine this. So we've got Venus in Gemini, we've got the moon in Libra, and we have Aquarius, Pluto in Aquarius. And they create like a triangle. And all in air, by the way, which is funny because we think about a kite, it's flying it in the air. So this lovely grand trine, which is very positive, supports this situation that's going to come out and be expressed, which is an opposition between Libra and Aries, between your 1st house and your 7th house, the 1st house of identity, and your 7th house of long-term relationships, a marriage, a business relationship, or somebody who works very closely with you. But more than likely, it's a long-term partnership of some sort that has possibly a romantic overview here, or a business overtone. Okay. You're no longer going to be able to keep whatever conflict or polarization that's occurring between you and a partner. But this triangle of air signs of Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini will support the expression of the issue and the management of the issue. And it cannot be sat on anymore because it's creating problems between you and your partner. So it's a very interesting transit. It occurs on the 29th, but it will reverberate for at least a week beyond. I think maybe even longer. So keep that in mind. That's the week. Now let's pull an oracle card on this, Libra, and see what's really going on. Libra. Mother, wife, sister, daughter. This comes up. what's happening, Libra. King of Wands, so non-gender specific. This is a Sag, Leo, or Aries energy, but also a business person or a leader of some sort. There's been a constant pushing down or struggling with some major issues with this person. It has had something to do with a long-term partnership. I can't make this stuff up. The Lovers. Also, the Lovers has to do with commitment. Do you want to be committed to this relationship? Are you still desirous of working through issues? And it could also have overtones, I'm using that word a lot with this particular reading, of certain amounts of money that will be coming in, but how are you going to spend it? So, relationship. This is the theme. I want you to take good care of yourselves. And if you have questions about your chart and you'd like me to go over it with you, just drop me a line at cottagetarot.com. Thank you and take care. Hello, Aquarius. I hope you're well. Let's dive into your reading and take a look at, see what's happening. So on the 20th, although it's outside the perimeter of our forecast, I had to mention that there is a conjunction, which is very positive, between Mercury and Saturn in Aries. It's positive, but it also brings up issues that need discussion. And it's because it's Mercury, it's all about ideas and sharing some kind of communication with very practical Saturn and coming up with a plan. And you may have experienced this in May of 1998. So look backwards if you can. On Wednesday 22nd, we have a lovely moon conjunct Jupiter in Cancer. And for you, Aquarius, that is in your 6th house of your workaday world and your health. You might be starting to feel a little bit more comfortable in your skin. On Friday the 24th, Venus will move into Gemini. Yay! And for you, that's in your 5th house of love, children, and your creative world. And for Aquarians, that's a nice placement. On Saturday the 25th, there is a little bit of a push-pull for you Aquarians. When Taurus, which is, the sun is in Taurus now, squares Pluto in your sun, moon, or rising sign. So where is Taurus in your chart? It's in the area of home and family. You may get a bit of a push-pull, and I use that word definitively, between your needs, your creative needs, your family's needs, and you. You want to work on an art project, you want to go have some fun with your significant partner, or they want to go have some fun, and you have other ideas in mind. So just keep that, in the back of your head over this weekend. On the 26th, we have Mercury squaring Jupiter. Mercury in Aries and Jupiter in Cancer. Cancer's in your 6th house of work, and Aries is up in your 3rd house. So you may find that you're having a conflict between something that's going on at work